Okay, so tonight we're gonna fuck with this tubing bender. The bender itself is fine. Unfortunately, the stand is not. I had to shim the shit out of it. I was in a hurry when I built it. Look at how bad that angle is. It's ridiculously bad. Yeah. So, with the fact that I've had to shim this thing so frickin' far to get it straight, this turned out fine, the ram mount, but nothing's quite right with it. And I got online, on YouTube, naturally, and I found some videos of guys that have made some vertical benders. A lot like the Rogue Fab style benders, but they've been doing it with these JD squared style benders. This is not a JD squared bender, this is an off-brand, but it does the job. So we're gonna go ahead, make a whole new stand that stands up vertically, so that way when the tube gets bent, it rocks upwards. So let's go ahead and I'm going to use some of this 3/8 3x3 angle. I got a 20-foot stick of it, which would be more than enough to build this new stand. All right, it's now stripped. We're gonna save this stand because I may put a vise on it. I might put, fuck all, God only knows what I can put on that thing. There's the bender, and I have this little stand here for the pipe to ride on, so it's gonna be about that same height. And if you saw in the time lapse, got myself a pretty good blood blister. So I'm gonna go ahead and start marking out and cutting that tube. I'm gonna move the time lapse, that way it can at least half-ass see what I'm doing. Sorry, I keep belching in every one of my videos. I'm pretty sure I belch in each and every one of them. But I don't have much room in the garage, so I'm gonna have to raise the door just slightly. So that way I can get to the end of that. We're gonna do two 25.5-inch pieces. That'll be our uprights. We're gonna have two angular pieces. That's gonna be 28 3/4 each. And the bottom pieces are 22.5 inches. And then according to the way he did his, he had another piece of material on the side of it. So we're not gonna go with 24 inches wide. I think, I believe that 18 inches, that rim, or that wheel that one is on, with as high as it was, it never really had a problem with tipping back and forth, and that's only about 16 inches. So we're gonna go ahead and do probably 18 inches wide here. 18 inches wide, 22.5 inches long, because remember, this thing's gonna have a piece of tubing sticking out of it. So I wanna prevent any kind of tipping forward and aft, but side to side should be just fine. And with a 25.5-inch height, that's just the stand. Once I put this on it, it's also gonna have this, I believe, is 16 inches, but I don't quite remember. This little piece right here is how I'm going to mark and space my holes. This actually came with that bender. So that's what we're gonna do next. We notched out that little section there, cut the corner off the end there. And now we can go ahead, measure this piece from end to end, mark it, clean it all up, and then we can weld those pieces in. But before we go ahead and do that, or we might actually even do that first, we need to mark and drill our holes up here. And those two holes will actually line up with these. And what I'm thinking about, I never used this far hole here. So I could even go all the way up to here, drill a new hole through both of these pieces, and spread my bolts out just a little bit, but I don't think I actually need to because there's not a lot of force actually being put on the stand itself. All the force that this thing sees is here. We're really not too concerned about how strong this stand is going to be. We're more concerned about how straight everything is. When this thing lays on the floor, and I'm actually gonna, these pieces here are gonna be twisted. I just kind of wanted them up off the floor for now. They're gonna be flipped up, and I'll drill holes into all four corners and put some caster wheels on it so I can move this thing around a little easier. But yeah, I think we'll go ahead, we'll grab the regular grinder. That's my cutoff grinder. I've got my grinder there. We'll clean up these edges, chamfer them so we can weld them there. I want to make sure everything is square. This thing has to sit down perfectly level every freaking time I go to use it. Because if it's not, and that tube ends up twisted, it can fuck up an entire roll cage. And that's why we're doing this. We're gonna get that roll cage done this Thanksgiving weekend. All right, let's try this again. So, there it is. I still have a couple of braces to put in here, but I did do a test bend, and being able to set my tube up, put some pressure on it, and then put my caliper on it to gauge it, like this. So, once that's on there like that, I know exactly where it's sitting, and I can just hit calibrate. Now this is at 0, and then once the tube is out there, I stick it on the bottom like that, and it'll rotate it up, and then it'll tell me when I get to 90, just like this. But overall, this should make bending a lot easier. The only real issue that we run into is the distance from here up to my ceiling. I'll have to position this in certain ways, just like the Rogue Fab benders, but I can actually even pull it out here into the driveway and I can bend whatever needs to be bent. But that's it. I'm going to go ahead and just put some random details in it, and I haven't decided if I wanted to take it apart and sand it and paint it or not. I don't think I'm gonna, because I have to work on that. See you later. Don't forget to like and subscribe.